Welcome to the Good News Bay podcast, where we are making Bay County brighter, one conversation at a time. I'm so excited today for the guests that we have. Having them together in the same room is exciting. You're going to hear some new things about these two gentlemen and the role that they serve in, and some exciting and some good things about the FSU Panama City campus, and some good things about what's happening in Bay County in general. And so we're delighted to share it with you. Gentlemen, we have Dean Hanna of FSU PC, and also Dr. Irvin Clark, who is the Associate Dean at the campus there. And they both serve obviously in unique roles, and we're glad that they're here. Lots of talk and chatter in Bay County about the FSU PC campus lately because of the First Friday event and having President McCullough come over and share some of his vision. And so just by way of introduction, Dean Hanna, you've been here since 2016. You served as the chancellor over the Florida college system for a number of years. Lots of background, obviously, in not just in the college side of things, but you've got a lot of Northwest Florida connections, which is what we're learning. You're from the town of Greensboro.
From the town of Greensboro.
You know, many of my viewers and listeners would not know, except if I tell them, because we talked about the grist mill a little bit, and there's this one dip. I always, as a kid, we'd go from between Panama City and Tallahassee. We'd cut across through Blountstown, Bristol, and head up toward the interstate, and you got to go through Greensboro to get there. And so that little grist mill is always the marker, because are you in Greensboro at the grist mill, or are you just close?
You're right outside of Greensboro, and my parents owned that mill. It was built in 1875.
Wow.
On Taloja Creek. My grandfather owned a mill further up the creek, and then my father owned that mill, and they operated it until 1976, closed shortly after they sold it, and we ground water-ground cornmeal. It was the last water-powered grist mill in the state of Florida.
Where else will you get that kind of information other than Good News Bay podcast?
And I spent part of my youth delivering cornmeal to Panama City stores,
really?
Including the Sunshine grocery stores.
Really?
In Panama City. Sure did.
Man, I love that. There's always stuff that comes out in these conversations that I did not know before, and it throws me a little bit because I got all these questions I want to ask you that I can't because we don't have time. But that is fascinating to me. Now,
I can talk about cornmeal all day.
I want to know more. I got to give them some good news about the college too today. You know, there's a lot of great things happening at the college, and I think let me just kind of point this out. Both you and Dr. Clark came before the hurricane, before the pandemic, and have walked with that campus through it.
Correct.
And I just want to compliment both of you, because I know leadership is hard. At every educational level, it's hard. You've had to problem solve. I mean, you have had to engineer and be entrepreneurial about how do we do this. And every public sector realm has had to do that. Businesses have done it. Schools have done it. Churches have done it. But you two guys have been a part of a team that have not only weathered it, but I think you're excelling and getting ready to just take off, as if you hadn't already. And so I got to finish this introduction thing, I guess. Dr. Clark, you also are from Greensboro.
Yeah, but I'm from the suburbs of Greensboro.
The suburbs?
I'm from the Sawdust community.
So, rumor has it that you guys did not know each other growing up in Greensboro. You were a few years apart, but you were in some of the same places together. And who knew that later you'd be here? Is that true?
Yeah, I'm a lot younger than Dr. Clark.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we actually really didn't know each other. We're about 7 years apart in age, but in a very unusual, very unique situation. When he was in kindergarten, I was in the 7th grade, and we were in the same building, separated solely by bookcases. And so we spent a year together.
That's right.
And he said he wondered who those boys were that thumped him on his head.
Used to thump me on my head.
So when you said he was a legend, Dr. Clark, you were literally saying he was that guy that was further ahead that was picking on you.
No, well, Randy was the guy that you heard about. It. You got to be smart like Randy Hanna. You got to get involved.
He's
with
making
FFA, you got to get involved, and so I heard a lot of that growing up.
He's making this up. See, Dr. Clark, we're both athletes. You know, he played at Florida A&M and for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and I was also a good athlete. I played on the C team basketball.
Stop it.
I sat on the bench. But
you guys bring different things to the table. Is that what I'm hearing?
I think we bring different things to the table, but we both bring a love for helping students.
And we both bring a love for Northwest Florida.
Absolutely.
Absolute love. So we're totally committed to Northwest Florida.
There's something very symbolic about the fact to me that you guys are over here serving and leading at the FSU PC campus, while at the Tallahassee campus, there is kind of this bridge that is happening. And you guys both, like I said, it's symbolic, but you were raised right between the two schools. And so you have experience from both sides, I would think.
We both do. And I think it's important to realize that this is FSU. You know, FSU has the Tallahassee campus and has the Panama City campus. And we've had a significant amount of support from the president of FSU, President Thrasher, and now President McCullough. Right. President McCullough was over a couple of weeks ago and met with people in the community, spoke at First Friday. And I think the words that we heard from President McCullough was he sees the opportunity.
Yes.
He sees the opportunity that's here in Northwest Florida and wants to help us.
I did not really know what to expect going to that First Friday event. I don't go to all of them. I go to as many as I can. But I was really impressed. And the thing that impressed me so much is I don't know that I've ever heard the word entrepreneur or entrepreneurship in an educational environment at a state university kind of setting, because so often you look more at, and there is a desire for research, but you don't hear this business-friendly concept. You hear the theories, but you don't always hear, here's how we want to invest in the community and make it so that we're in, like literally the idea of a commercial entrepreneurship degree is saying we want to generate students that start their own businesses. And so being one who loves that role of creating, I know that we got people that are listening and looking and watching, and I want the word to get out because it sounds like you guys are trying to equip students to start businesses. I mean, it sounds like that's the president's vision, and it sounds like you guys are helping put the pieces together to make that happen. Am I right about that?
Yeah, you're right about that. Our goal at Florida State University is, in fact, we promise our students, we talk about the FSU PC promise. And part of that promise, in fact, it's everywhere.
I love that phrase. FSU PC promise.
FSU PC promise. Yes. And the first part of that promise is when you leave here, you'll be prepared. Mm-hmm. You'll be prepared for the workforce, or you'll be prepared to go on to graduate school. Right. But it's deeper than that. You'll leave here with greater critical thinking skills. You'll leave here understanding the need to be involved in your community. And you will leave here hopefully with a love for learning.
Yes.
Because learning doesn't stop when you graduate. Mm-hmm. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to graduate students and prepare students for the many challenges that they will face. And, you know, it's interesting that you say you haven't heard a university talk about entrepreneurship or economic development, but that's part of our mission. That is part of our mission. And we're involved in most of the things that the Economic Development Alliance does. We're involved with the chamber.
Yes.
We're trying to make sure we're helping produce the workforce that our community needs. And then you talked about the commercial entrepreneurship program. We want to be able to help people start their own businesses. And so it's embedded throughout everything we do.
If you were, and I know that program is one of the programs, I think there's 5 that have come and become a part of under your tenure as the dean.
Maybe more.
Maybe more than that?
More. Yeah.
Man, well, that's good. You've done a lot, that's what I'm saying.
Well, we've done a lot. The community has been very supportive.
And that's what the other driver with the PC program is, pathways. Is that we want to help young folks to understand themselves within the context of being at FSU Panama City. But these pathways, entrepreneurship is just one path. There are many. And that takes us a long ways in helping them to understand who they are, working with the community.
Right.
What's next?
Well, and I think there's a history. I mean, we talk about a lot of the new things, and we'll talk about some more that are happening at the college, but there's a history that I remember even as a child of a connection between the Navy lab and the engineers and producing engineers that can be utilized. And, Alex is in the room. His wife, Hanna, actually has that background in education required to then be able to come back home and be a part of that community. Many engineers and those that are involved in that tech industry. And so y'all really are continuing that heritage, which is great. I think one of the things that I wanted to point out, because, growing up here, so often we knew of the Panama City campus as being kind of the commuter campus. And there's been talk for probably 20 or 30 years or longer about being a place where they could come and move here and it be a campus where there's campus life. And the people that I'm talking to, I know it's a team, but Dean Hanna, the folks I've talked to have said that you get an awful lot of credit for actually the way that you have talked with some of the leaders and helped that development process so that could become a reality. And I know Dr. Clark's had a lot to do with creating campus life. And I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I mean, it's a big deal to have Seminole Landing campus housing, not as an idea or a dream, but it's actually open and operational.
It's a reality. Yeah,
it's here. It's here and it's full.
Yes.
And
if people don't know, I mean, it's got the best view in Bay County, right? I mean, it's incredible.
I actually tried to get them to change the name of the campus once we became residential, to change it from FSU Panama City to FSU Club Med, since it's right on the North Bay.
It's a beautiful, I mean, anybody that's aware, like, there may be another room I'm not aware of. There are probably more business and community large meetings that happen in the Holly Room or the Holly Center. And why not? Because that is, I mean, I've been asked to do invocations there more than once, and I can't hardly do an invocation without talking about the beautiful scenery that we see out that window. But that's essentially the same view that many of those that are in that dorm get to see every day. Who in college gets that?
It's a unique place. It's a great place, and it has changed.
Yes, it has.
It has changed the campus experience also, not only for the students that live there, but for the students who continue to commute, because it's provided additional folks who are on campus all the time.
Right.
And it allows for additional activities, greater interaction with students. It's been fabulous. We love it.
Well, I literally am seeing all those pieces and parts kind of come together over the last several years. And it's neat because we do have a college ministry here locally and have been involved with kind of the local version of Baptist Campus Ministry. You know, there's one of those at the main or at the Tallahassee campus.
And I told you.
Fix me. You told me. All right, fix. What do we call campus?
It is.
Begging for correction.
You did that on purpose, didn't you?
I'm not that good. Let's clarify for everybody that's listening. What do they call the campus over in Tallahassee?
So that is the Tallahassee campus.
Yes, sir.
This is the Panama City campus.
Okay.
We are all FSU. Students who go to school here are FSU students and entitled to all the rights and privileges of FSU.
So what is really cool about that, even though I didn't do that on purpose, is that I'm not the only one that would do that, say it that way. And so we are literally in the process of rebranding that, making
Yes.
that what it really is.
Yeah.
So
and you're not the only one I would correct if they said that either.
and rightly so. The Tallahassee campus has these guys called the Garnet and Gold
Garnet
guys.
and Gold.
Yes.
And our listeners and viewers would know them from football games because they're always like airbrushed in glitter, and these shirtless wonders, and they are screaming. One's named Garnet and one's named Gold. I actually, that's not the real names, right? And their identities are somewhat hidden. But because it's a past Garnet and Gold guy, I think I can tell you that we have had one of those Garnet and Gold guys that grew up at our youth group, right? Which is cool, and have gone on, obviously, to the campus that we know at Tallahassee as opposed to the campus here in Panama City.
Yes.
I think I figured that out. So I'm saying that to say it's been incredible to be able to make some connections because Barry Sproles, he's the director of Baptist Campus Ministries over in Tallahassee. They were able to get the Garnet and Gold guys here for an event called Engage that we did last year. And I was surprised how many FSU fans that are college students came out to want to see that group. And it's a beautiful event because it was right there by this brand new dorm at the Holly Center. And you guys allowed that to happen in a good way. It's a good thing.
And Irvin got like 5 pictures with the Garnet
Oh,
and
yeah,
Gold
I
guys.
did. I did.
He kept butting in line to get his photo taken with him.
But, there's a lot more to the learning paradigm than the 4 walls of a classroom.
Yes, sir.
We understand that most of our students only take 2 to 4 hours of classes a day. And this focus, big change in campus culture with having 370 persons living on the campus,
Right.
it's a game changer. So we have been extremely intentional in encouraging students to develop registered student organizations, and devotionals have been off the charts.
So devotionoles is a club on campus.
Correct.
The name is what it is. It's those that are Florida State Seminole students that are studying. In this case, it's a Christian club. They're studying Scripture. I need to fix something because I'm gonna mess it up. We actually have 2 students that were part of that Garnet and Gold thing, and they're gonna want to know which one of them I forgot. And so I think it's cool that we're raising up students that are actually active on both campuses, which is part of the one FSU. Another part of what we're seeing is we're seeing 2 different groups, and you can correct me on this if I don't have it just right, but we're seeing more and more students from our student ministry as they graduate that are staying local for their education.
Yes.
And part of the reason they're doing that is because there's so much more that is offered now. I mean, it is true that Gulf Coast State College offers some things that maybe 10 or 20 years ago they did not. But the very fact that you guys continue to add programming, the very fact that you've got now the dorm life that's there, and are creating a full, what I guess is described as kind of a full student experience.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So it's, from that standpoint, it's become less of a commuter school, right? There's still people that are local in these population centers.
Sure.
We've talked about some of the small towns around our community that do draw students in to get educated. But you're adding to that base in a really unique way. The other thing that's happening is we're seeing people move here from all over the country.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And from all over the world.
To study.
We're getting more and more
Right here in
interest
Panama
from
City.
international students. Yes.
Which I think is cool. Somewhere in the notes as I was looking at this smaller area is actually a great environment that some parents and some students want to be at, as opposed to being necessarily in the Tallahassee campus. And then it can be kind of a gateway, right? I mean, isn't there
It can be. It can be because once you're here, you're an FSU student.
Yes.
And so you are able to, if the program that you want is in Tallahassee, you're able to transfer to Tallahassee. And we have some students who do that. We have some students who come here planning to do that,
And they stay.
but they realize that they
Fall in
like it here
love.
better.
They call that falling in love.
Another thing that I think it all these pieces, it's almost like there's somebody within the leadership at the university that's actually putting all these, like, in an intentional way. I mean, go figure, right? But if somebody's thinking, hey, we need this, and we need this, and we need this, and all these pieces to fit so that the puzzle or the picture's complete. Well, as I'm sitting back I'm a preacher, right, and a business person, or a person that likes to know kind of what's happening within the community. I'm looking at all of the medical needs in Bay County.
Yes.
And then I got wind, and I'm going to let y'all talk about it a little bit, but I got wind of a partnership with Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. And their desire, and when the president was speaking, he said that partnership's happening at the Tallahassee campus and the PC campus.
Yes.
And I'm like, hang on a second, wait a minute. You're saying that there's going to be a research hospital kind of deal happening in Bay County, like Panama City Beach, like they've already bought, the property's been acquired. St. Joe Company's involved with helping make it happen. And I'm sitting here as a guy that survived the hurricane saying, well, we've wondered what future medical facilities are going to look like. Things have been getting built back. There's been all this talk of another hospital. Everybody locally, and I know you got a little bit of UF way far back. Blue and orange don't match any other colors. You're definitely the gold socks, man. I know you're garnet and gold through and through. But when I lived in Jacksonville as a pastor, I know that Shands Hospital as a research hospital, it was a big deal to be able to get that kind of medical,
absolutely
innovative care. In order for that to happen, I'm like, what am I missing? But FSU has started a public health kind of initiative and a program.
So let me take a few moments to talk about that. And first, let's talk about the University of Florida thing.
Let's set that straight.
Now, I'm proud of my degree from the University of Florida, and I met my wife of more than 40 years at the University of Florida. But I came to Florida State for law school, and we have lived in Northwest Florida the entire time, and we love Florida State University.
I know that's true.
And it is a great place to go to school, either campus. And you talked about Shands and UF Health. In Tallahassee, we're working with Tallahassee Memorial Hospital to hopefully build a big research building in Tallahassee. And then at the same time, St. Joe partnered with Tallahassee Memorial Hospital to open a hospital over on 79.
Yes, sir.
And we're in the middle of negotiations with TMH, in the middle of planning for that. But the expectation is that will be called FSU Health. And we will be working with them, along with Gulf Coast State College and others, to make sure we're providing the people they need to work there, and hopefully also to have research capabilities here in Bay County, in the healthcare area. Most of the federal research dollars come in from NIH, and so that will be a big focus from the university.
I think it's exciting.
It's huge.
I know that if I'm looking at the demographic of the people that are listening, there are we've got some folks that are older that want to make sure that there's the latest and greatest research and amenities to where they don't maybe have to travel to identify some of that, and that's something that's needed. And when you look out across the horizon at even some of the other podcasts that we've done and interviews we've had, the Margaritaville development is 50 years from now, like for perspective, is said to be the largest retirement community in the country. Why would you not have great medical care if that's what your long-term vision is? On the other hand, there are people that are listening that probably have children that are going to be graduating in the next several years and maybe going into nursing or some medical field. This is going to be an opportunity for that kind of training, perhaps even locally. And, we've all traveled places to see loved ones or whatever, where we see that young bunch of students that are learning from those. And it's just an exciting thing for our community. We've never really had a research facility like that.
Well, we haven't, but a couple of things I want to add. We started a public health program last year, one of our new programs, and it's taking off. And there are many opportunities outside of nursing or being a doctor in the healthcare area. And I think the pandemic clearly showed us that.
Yes.
And the other thing is, while we're talking about FSU Health over there, we have two great partners in Bay Medical and in Gulf Coast. And
It's wise to mention both of them. I got friends both places.
And well, I'll tell you, my wife had some health issues, and we had great service here and great doctors here in Bay County. And the fact that we're looking at a research facility over there and a partnership there will not take away at all from the partnerships that we have with these two institutions.
That's a wise statement, and I'm grateful that you made it. I think it's important. And here's why. One of the things that has been new in our community is the idea that if one area excels, it doesn't mean that the other area cannot also excel. The way that we have tried to describe that is that a rising tide can make all boats rise.
Right, correct.
And so in terms of Bay County, and I think it's important as we share good news, it means that St. Andrews as a community can grow, and it doesn't mean that Panama City and downtown can't also grow. And that the beaches can grow, and that Lynn Haven can, and we're seeing literally opportunities across the board. Locally, we're seeing municipalities work together in a way that encourages me. Part of the hope that I hope that you see in my voice is seeing that the universities, and I know y'all have a good relationship with Dr. Holdback. I know that.
We got, listen, more than half of the students that live in Seminole Landing are Gulf Coast State College students.
And so and I know I'm kind of shaping the narrative a little bit, but I get asked a lot, how are we going to handle the growth that's coming? What are we going to do for infrastructure? And what I keep trying to say, like, this is part of the infrastructure. Healthcare is part of the infrastructure. Yes. Houses are popping up everywhere. At this site, I mean, obviously Jinx Avenue, they're just finishing up the 4-lane there, the 6-lane on this section. Yes, it's taken a while, but it's kept going through the pandemic and the hurricane. I mean, it's happening. Everybody is joking these days. I think about the gas stations because there's so many. I'm like, these guys are smarter than us. They know who's coming to Bay County.
That's right.
And so there are more than enough people to fill up the Panama City campus, to fill up really more of the hospitals than what we've even got. And I'm excited about that. And I want this to be a place that people come to practice medicine, not because it's not already good, but because we can continue to build upon the opportunities, honestly, that a lot of the heartbreak of the hurricane has presented us with.
That's right.
And so I think what you're saying, Dean Hanna, is incredible because we are a very blessed community.
Absolutely.
Yes, we are.
And there is a history of really good relationships between the PC campus of FSU and Gulf Coast State College and the business community as a whole. I've just gotten the privilege lately to see a little bit of how all those things are working together, and it's kind of exciting.
It is very exciting.
And so public health is another of those programs, that list of programs that is new and is going. Let me also ask a couple of questions about FSU as a whole.
Okay.
Because I was intrigued when I heard President McCullough talk some about, I see these as accomplishments, but if I'm a parent or a grandparent or even a college student that may have to work, like pay my own way through school, FSU is a first-rate education and is in the top
20 of public universities.
Yes. So the product that you're getting and being, did you say prepared?
That's right.
That's proven through those that study this and rank. But the cost for that is less than most other places. Is that also true?
The cost for tuition
yes.
on the Tallahassee campus is the second lowest in the country.
Okay.
And the cost among universities and the cost for tuition here at FSU Panama City is the lowest in the country.
So I'm not sure if everybody heard that just right.
For universities.
Yeah.
So all these opportunities that we're describing, many that are already here, some that are on the horizon, incredible cost per or value for cost ratio at the Tallahassee campus, but here locally,
even cheaper.
Even cheaper.
That's right.
And with the generous support of some amazing donors here in the community.
Yes.
We were able to roll out last year the PC Promise Scholarship.
Have I heard that word PC Promise already?
And you probably heard
this is a branding thing.
It is.
I love it. Tell me about the PC Promise Scholarship.
PC Promise Scholarship. So if you are either Pell eligible, meaning you're eligible for a Pell Grant, but you may not get a full Pell Grant, or your family has an adjusted gross income of $60,000 or less,
Okay.
free tuition and fees at FSU Panama City
It's incredible.
for
It
your
is.
for one bachelor's degree.
So we are going to, when this airs in a week or two, we're going to make sure there's links for all this.
Okay.
Excellent.
And I want to make sure that there is a link for who they can talk to. Is there a department or a person that would be in charge?
Enrollment management, David Henry.
Okay.
That's the point of contact.
And Irvin and I have an open door policy
Yes, we
too.
do.
And so anybody can call me on my cell phone, which is 850-445-2511, and we'll be happy to put them in touch with the right folks.
Or you can call me on my cell phone, 912-844-2018.
Don't call me.
You can call me. Listen, we put it on.
You don't talk about Jesus. Call me.
We put it on our business card.
Hey, I have
we
sensed,
are accessible.
even as y'all have met some folks just on campus at this morning, it is obvious to me if there is somebody in this community that wants to go to school, they want to get an education, and they're trying to figure out how to make it happen. They need to contact the school, and because there's more opportunity out there than they know.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of opportunities, and you did talk about Gulf Coast State College. We're really proud of our partnership with them, and we're very blessed with our school system here. We have Haney, we have Gulf Coast, and we have FSU here, and there's a pathway. We have a TV ad, and in the ad I say there's a pathway for everyone to be enrolled.
Yes, there is.
I believe that's incredible. I think one of the things that's really significant about what you've described in trying to make it so that anybody that wants that education can get it. And I don't know how many of these folks are actually just listening to. I don't know that that's the demographic necessarily of my podcast, but I want kids that are coming out of high school that have had a tough road. Like, not to say I can't because my parents weren't there or don't do this or they don't like. I want them to hear there's an opportunity, and as a community, because of donors that you mentioned, there's others in this community because of the heart the school has, the university. We want you to have a pathway, and we need good workers.
But,
Yes, we do.
but let me talk a little bit more.
Please.
Even though we have the lowest tuition, even though we have money for those with an adjusted gross income of $60,000 or less, there are so many first-generation college
Yes, there
students.
is.
There are so many people who are trying to work 2 jobs and raise a family
Yes, sir.
and go to school, that we still need to provide financial support to those folks. And so we're blessed in this community to have donors who have a heart for helping students. But that's a place that we could always use additional help.
Well, and I that word needs to get out. One of the things that makes me proud of being a part of this community is that we have our own flaws, I'm sure, but we are a giving community. We care for those that are truly in need. Somebody here, and this is probably going to help along the way with that. But I think that the recognition that the need is great. And then the desire to help see something be done about it. Because when we talk about like immediate needs, and we look at things like foster care, and we look at homeless populations and workforce and all that stuff, these are viable long-term fixes in the sense of creating a community where everybody has an opportunity to chase their dream.
That's right.
And that's really, I think that's what all of us want. I don't know if we've talked a whole lot about the entrepreneurial college. There's and I've got a dollar figure here. Can you? There's been, I don't know if it's grant money or what, but there's dollars that have been put as a part of this entrepreneurial college partnership.
The Moran College, the Jim and Jan Moran, the Jim Moran Foundation and Jan Moran gave $100 million to the university to establish a college of entrepreneurship and also for the Jim Moran Institute to work with businesses all across the state.
Okay.
And
Nice little chunk of change, huh?
yeah, it is. And so at the same time that college was established in Tallahassee, we opened the program here at FSU Panama City.
Okay.
And we're doing our best to get out in the community. In fact, one thing that I'm very proud of is last year we had our first dolphin tank competition at Mosley High School, where students participated just like Shark
Do
Tank.
tell.
Just like Shark Tank.
Oh, okay. I got it. Dolphin tank, like shark. Okay.
Yeah, Mosley.
They bring their idea for a business
Bring their ideas. They competed, and the winners got scholarships to FSU Panama City.
I love it.
And another thing that we're doing, we love. In fact, when President McCullough was here, he said, I feel like your students don't feel like there are boundaries. That they're. It's like a startup. They have so much energy and enthusiasm about what they can do. And he met with a group of students who have developed a guitar pedal,
Yes.
an electronic guitar pedal that they are about to take to market. And they won the university-wide competition, won $10,000.
That was right here in Bay County.
That's right here.
Yeah, this group is right here. Yeah,
The PC campus.
That's right.
the Panama City campus. Absolutely.
That was fascinating. When he was telling the story, the idea that he's got one pedal that can do it all that's been invented by students here, as opposed to having all these different electric guitar pedals, is kind of fascinating.
Well, I think the president really he was a little amazed by it because he's trying to learn how to play the guitar.
I shared this off camera with you guys. There's a resiliency in Bay County, and yes, there are going to be people that move here and participate, and we want that to happen. But the culture that I hope they experience is a group that are stronger because of the adversity that we faced in recent years. I firmly believe, and I've said it before on the show, and we'll keep saying it, that we've got a basketball team for Bay County right now, or for Bay High School, that is making a run at a state championship, and we've got an Arnold High School soccer team, boys team, that's making a run at a state championship. And it's a long line in just the last year or two of teams that, I mean, we haven't had as many as often as we have lately. I'm telling you, these kids locally should grow up to start businesses with a can-do attitude. Nothing's going to stop me. I'll figure it out.
Absolutely.
That's the heart of entrepreneurialism and or entrepreneurship. But real excited about that. We're almost to the end of our time. I wanted to take just a second to talk about campus life one more time.
Yes.
I know there's a Billy Dean concert coming up one day before too long.
It'll now be in the fall, but we're excited about having Billy Dean here.
So there'll be a date and probably a link with some of that.
Yes.
I know the actual date of the Engage event, I think, is March 24th, and there'll be some information attached to that. Mm-hmm. There's a student internship fair that I think is incredible. That is coming up March 9th, where there's an opportunity to meet employers and that kind of thing. Uh-huh. Quick question for you. Businesses, people that are a part of businesses that may be listening. Obviously, those that can help students get an education, you're interested in the donors. I heard that matters. Those that could not otherwise be able to go to college. What can businesses do to partner with you guys? I mean, obviously, if they were interested in learning about these programs and how their startup business could benefit from some of the students, is there a connection for that?
Yes, we have a internship initiative. In fact, I can make our internship guide available for businesses that are willing to offer our students those practical experiences while they're getting a great education. So we would love to do that.
And many of our programs require internships.
That helps create the pathways, right?
Absolutely.
And then also jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, getting the degree is just one milestone, but getting a great job and being able to remain here in Bay County, that's awesome.
And that is more and more the opportunity that we're seeing present itself. Right. You mentioned the Bay Economic Development Alliance and some of the incredible things that they're doing, and I know that it's all of that working together. Love seeing all that communication.
Well, now, you mentioned our high school teams, and making a run at the state championship, I would be remiss if I did not point out that FSU's women's soccer team won the national championship. And right now, FSU's women's softball team is undefeated. And it would not surprise me to see them win the national championship this year.
Well, I can promise you we got a bunch of folks listening and watching that want to see Florida State excel in everything they do. And that are very hopeful about the upcoming football season and all the stuff. I read an article yesterday. I think they've got I think they were, according to the Florida State deal that I saw, they're in the top 25 preseason, which is a pretty big deal that the expectation would be that way.
All right. And I cannot close. We can't leave without my emphasizing one point.
Yes, sir.
You talked about us being one of the top 20 in the country as far as public universities.
Yes, sir.
But we are number one in the state and one of the top 10 in the country on 4-year graduation rates.
Yes.
People who graduate in 4 years.
So if I'm a parent and my child goes to the university, that statistic says what?
That statistic says they will get out in 4 years.
That's right.
That helps my pocketbook.
It helps your pocketbook. And 95% of the students who come in as freshmen came back for their sophomore year.
That's right.
And so...
That's impressive.
Very impressive.
It's real impressive. Listen, you guys have talked with me a little bit. I know you're both men of faith. I appreciate who you are. I appreciate who you are in this community. I look forward and hope and pray you guys stay here for a long time, and I can't wait to see some of these things that we've talked about in the future happening. And I'm really excited for so many people to hear about what's already good that's happening right now. This is great news.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for what you do in the community and all the members of your church do in the community.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us for the Good News Bay podcast, where we are making Bay County brighter one conversation at a time. Please help us share this good news and change the conversation by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the podcast.